Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Shop with Russ. Tonight we're going to have Eloy Escajedo, and he is going to talk to us about, he's been trying to follow back on his ancestry, and so he's going to give us some information on what he's been doing and how he did it. So my wife is sick, and I have my granddaughter tonight. My son had a special charity banquet. Somebody in his work has cancer. Wife has cancer, and so they're doing a charity banquet tonight. So he went to that. So I got my granddaughter Collins, and I am actually going to step out and turn the show over to Mr. Al Forte, and he's going to run it for me tonight because I can't leave a 2.5, 3-year-old in my living room by herself, or I might not have anything in there that works. Yeah, it might not. The TV might be destroyed. That she might eat the remote. I mean, there's no telling what could go on in there. So, usually she's very good. I had her in here a little bit ago. Let me see if I can get her. Hey, Collins. Let me see if I can get her just real quick.
I say just get her and sit her down right there and
hey, Collins.
Yeah. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna have these other people run the show. they're going to be doing it.
Oh, there's a bunch of people out there now.
Yeah.
Say hi.
Yeah. Give them the Vulcan salute.
Yeah, do the Vulcan thing here. Hold it up.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, we're over there. See, there you are.
Awesome.
I got you on the computer over there, and you're up there too. I got monitors. She can see herself. Yeah, you can see yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to take Collins in the living room, and I'll be back around 9 o'clock. I'll set my timer about 9 o'clock to close out.
Quick question.
I tickle. Okay. I tickle. All right, we're gone. It's all yours, Al.
Yeah, I'm asking. She's your granddaughter?
Huh?
She's your granddaughter?
Yeah, this is my granddaughter Collins.
Okay, so there's some ancestry.
There's some ancestry.
And another branch and another branch. Anyway.
Yeah, this is Corey, my son Corey's daughter. Corey and Cheyenne. So this is her, and she's going to sleep on me. I bet you I can get her up. All right, let's go.
All right.
See ya.
See you guys later. So folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging around. I'm gonna let Donna introduce herself, and then I guess I will, and everybody else, and then Eloy will be last but not least.
Hey, Donna Presley, Donna's Embroidery Plus. You can find me here, and you can find me on Messenger, and that's about it at the moment. You can find me in my shop. And Al, they're saying turn your mic up.
Yeah, I know. I just thought let me see if I can do it from in here. Okay, where is this? Oh, how about?
For me?
No.
It's called technical. Hey, how about that? Is that better? Can I have an amen?
Cool.
That's
I
better.
can make me one too, because I did God die for.
Okay, come on.
Feedback.
Al,
Yes.
introduce yourself.
Okay. All right. I was gonna let everybody else. Hi, I'm Al Forte. I've never been on video before, and but I can be found at Kilroy 79763. And I did say I was gonna let everybody else go. I'm just here fumbling around. But anyway, great to be here.
And I'm Dixon Hoffman. You find me at hoffmansignsandDecals.com and Facebook and YouTube.
Very good.
Jim Bashir's from Driveway Workshop, and looks like after speaking with Eloy tonight, I'll be able to take that big Tupperware 1 foot deep bin that I got from my dad's house a few weeks ago that's got all the ancestry stuff in it. Trying to go figure it out.
Is the tub wood or plastic?
It's plastic. Sorry.
Okay. Well, it was wood at one time because of the petroleum. You know, as the trees fell in the forest, then it became petroleum. So there's some wood.
Could have been straight dinosaur, man.
Yeah,
I can't make that assumption. Okay. All right. Eloy, take it away.
Yeah, Eloy.
I'm also Jim Bashir's. I don't know where you got the notion. I'm taking. Okay.
You're gonna take his name.
So nothing. I'm Eloy, and I'm here with you guys. I've been here before in the past. I've always enjoyed it. However, the topic, I guess. Well, Al, you. I'm having trouble with the topic is ancestry or DNA and such. And it's last minute, so I have a presentation.
Yeah, I asked him this morning. I asked several people, and he was gracious enough to say sure.
3 hours ago. 3 hours ago.
That's dedication right there.
I'll be exact. No, I have no problem. It's just that it's a little bit quick. Exactly 3 hours ago, or 4.
Right.
Do you want me to do anything, or should I? What would you like me to?
Well, I just thought about something. The presentation part, I don't have any way to control the stream, or at least I don't. You know, I mean, I don't know.
I can't share the screen.
You can, but it'll be teeny tiny, and then Russ, which is on the other side, has to put it up. You can. Yeah. Is it a PowerPoint?
No. So I have images that I put in a folder that I listed as 1 through whatever, in order to run through them to get the points across to inform over the topic, and then have it open for whatever you guys might want to ask or share. Okay. But it was based on the images in order to make it smooth, and so that folks can visualize what all. It's not a big deal here or there. I put it together as best I could for the time we have.
Right.
But
hey,
I mean, that's
if
kind
you
of
send them to me, I can display them on my end. Okay, I can do that. But they'll be small. But you'll be talking, and it'll be there, and everybody else will be there. I mean, I really didn't realize that or even think to that point. But
well, let's try. Let me see if share.
Yeah, let's see how they show up on your screen, if they're big enough to read, and see how it goes.
Well, they won't show up on his, because the share screen is actually a separate screen that comes up.
Okay.
And it has to be added by Russ.
Yeah.
Because if not, people would be sharing their wood without, you know.
See if you can see that
message.
You might have to send them to you.
Can you see what I just shared?
No.
See, it's got to be operated. I can text Russ to see if he.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I do that. Yeah, I just messaged Russ.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the best solution. If he could just message Russ and make that full screen, Eloy can still speak about it, and
if everybody messages him, he'll see it.
It may be like WebEx where you can
Tell you what. I'm not going to just say it. I'm going to do it.
There you go.
And I want everybody out there in the chat that has access to Russ's phone to call him too. There's a challenge. I'm in charge, right? Isn't that what Russ said? Do what I needed to do, right?
But if I send it to you, can you?
He always has some slides that he needs to show, and he's not on. I'm not able to put him up in slide mode.
Okay. Well, you mean full screen then?
Yeah. Are you there? Am I talking on the phone? Okay. Yeah. Full screen. Yes. Oh, Russ. Anyway, he hung up on me. Hung up on me.
Sorry, Russ. I should have mentioned that I have this little slide.
Hey, Russ. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what I was going to suggest is you make Eloy's screen that he's sharing, make it big, and then we're all little on the side, and that way we can see it.
You're asking for more crap than I know what to do.
Yes. Oh, you know how to do it. You've done it before.
No.
So Eloy, share your screen, right?
I'm already.
Yeah, he's already done it.
All right.
Yeah.
And Russ, highlight it or make it big. And I think we should fall small on the sides.
No, not me.
Maybe not. There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Make that as big as possible, Eloy. Or
Well,
Russ.
that's
I don't know.
basically
If not, hey, that's
It was looking really good.
what happened.
we went small. There.
Yeah, that's as big as I can make it without
That'll work.
taking
Right
y'all
there,
away.
we can read that. That's good.
This is I don't know what to call it, but thanks, Russ.
Yeah.
And so when I exit, it'll just go back to normal.
No, Russ will have to intervene again to make us big, but at least we're visible. Like everybody wants to see us, right?
Yeah. So you go ahead and show your slideshow first and talk about it and everything. Then I can come back and make it small and put y'all back where you were.
Okay, that works. All right, so I guess I'll start the presentation then.
Perfect.
Yes.
It's yours. It's yours, Eloy. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, just one sec here.
Okay.
Because now another issue with my screen resolution came up.
Okay.
It's all sorts of.
Hey, it's called streaming technical issues.
It looks good right now. We can read it. That's a big deal. We can read what it says.
It is good.
Okay, so
that's fine.
So at today earlier, Al reached out, and so I put together this quick presentation. I'll run through it quickly with touching on the key points, just to better inform for those that might find it useful. But within the topic of, DNA and ancestry and this and that, there's a lot of subtopics, so it's a broad world. And so I picked out, in particular, why DNA. It's quite universal that folks might be. There's also mtDNA, which is the maternal, but we're going to focus on the Y DNA. So I'm going to run through this now, and I guess you'll get all the points, and if you have any questions, feel free afterwards. So there's 3 types of tests. There's a paternal test, there's a maternal test, and then there's this autosomal test, which basically looks at all of your ancestry for the past few hundred years, all mixed in together, because we're a product of not just our paternal, but our maternal and their paternal and maternals going back in time. And so there's a lot of stuff back there that comes down to us, and it rearranges inside of us in little markers with a sequence of letters. And so this is particular to the paternal, not all the other stuff. So with that said, I'll move to the next slide. So the Y-DNA traces paternal ancestry from father to child across time, even before pre-recorded history. They're not looking at texts, they're not looking at books, they're not looking at anything other than the markers inside of you and that portion of your genetics that has little markers across time that can actually, let's just say sequentially, come down to you, and they can tell when a marker has mutated, changed its lettering, and therefore they can use that to hopscotch to the next generation. Usually, the way they can even figure this stuff out in part is by reading your Y DNA, and by using ancient samples that have been dug up across not only Europe but the world and so forth. So um, I'll move on. So according to what we get here from AI, which is on Google, there's over 26 million people around the world that have taken home DNA tests, and a portion of that is included with the Y DNA. We don't know exactly how many people have done the Y DNA in particular, but it's part of that 26 million. So it's ubiquitous. A lot of people have taken the test. You might have run across it in any number of scenarios, and I'm one of those many people that have enjoyed taking a dive into this world. Um, Paternal haplogroups. Here's a map. Most of it Europe, a lot of North Africa, and you'll see the different haplogroups which are frequent in certain regions of the world. So you'll notice that R1A is more towards the eastern part. R1B covers most of Western Europe. So these are the typical, on average, most common haplogroups that men in these areas have. Now, with that said, it's not the only haplogroups that men in these areas have. There's all sorts of other haplogroups mixed in there. This is just a simplification of what each area would have. A more detailed example would be the next slide, which here you can see these wheels, these pie charts, and you'll notice that in particular, let's look at Western Europe for a moment. You'll notice that the majority of the pie chart is in red, and that denotes R1B as a particular male haplogroup, which happens to be the one that I have. You can see, well, in my case, my ancestry comes from Spain, right? And
Where's
so
Spain there? Oh, I see it.
Spain is on the southern western edge here.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that it has a majority R1B, like Portugal, like France, Switzerland, Italy, and just all. But you'll notice Ireland, Scotland, England, and so on. You'll notice that the further east you move, this R1B, this red, becomes smaller, and this yellow starts to take preference to one degree or the other, and that's R1A, and that just goes further into Eastern Europe and so forth. But there's other haplogroups mixed in there amongst the men, current day men across Europe. So what you really have is a mixture of ancient ancestries propagated forward in time, marrying, having children, and so forth, and they still retain their original ancestral back in time origin. So Western Europe is um, mostly, overwhelmingly R1B, but not exclusively. There's other haplogroups involved. So that's important to mention, as opposed to going back one slide here. This is a simplification, and this is more to do with what we see in actuality. Okay. Uh, so my particular haplogroup, I went and tested with family tree DNA. I was curious about that, and so took that particular test. It's not cheap. There's other options, but this is the best route as far as information and other users and this and that. So here we have on the top ancient paternal father, which is RY132009, and you'll notice that it branches down. And by the way, that RY132009 is estimated to have been born in around 900 BCE, right? That's a long thousands and thousands of years ago. That that marker, that person, from those bones that they dug up and tested, they linked to this one going further down, RFT38, which is my current haplogroup, and it's estimated to have been born around 3 550 CE, which would place it during basically the last throes of the Roman Empire, right? The last 100 or so years of the Roman Empire. And myself is written in red there, myself. And the flag represents my most earliest known to me ancestor, which was located in Cantabria, Spain. His name was Agustin Escajedo. I know the village he was born in. I know his wife, my third great grandmother. As far as documentation is concerned, they were alive around 1800. Um, I could go further back, but there's dubious things going on, which I won't get into. But the point is, R1B, this represents him. And then next to that is an unknown country. Someone else tested. They're close to me. Could be close within the few hundred years or maybe 1,000 years. I would not know because they did not display their information. So that's a bummer, but it is what it is. Here's another way to look at how uh, the genetic markers are passed from father to son. I'll expand this slightly here. Let me see over here if you can see it. This is the parent, and this parent produced all these children, which happen to exist across different locations. So the parent in red at the top left-hand side, RCT, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, RTC on the left top-hand side, branched down to form people from Germany, England, Sweden, Switzerland, Catalonia, Greece, and I'm here in the red with the arrow. So that's me, my testing. Now, last thing I'll say in this chart is if more people tested, there would be more little branches, creating more clarity as to who went where, what, and this and that. But for now, this is what we have as far as people that have tested. And as you can see, they hail from different places across Europe. All right, next one. So I mentioned earlier that what happens is that in order to figure out where the heck one comes from paternally, they also need to use ancient bones. Well, this chart, I'll expand it here. Back in 2010, when this all really started to take off, they had 5 samples from ancient burial sites across the world. And so they used that. But forward a few years till around 2022, there's now 10,000 plus samples, ancient samples from across the world, mostly in Europe, that they can test. They can test from and figure out if you match the markers that they have, and that will link you. There's more details as to how that happens, but they will link you with those and form a trajectory back in time that you can know. So that's an interesting thing. Here in particular is a chart across time, specifically for the Iberian Peninsula, since I'm kind of talking about my particular results, but in a broad way, so that it fits for other people, that might make sense for other people. But I want to be specific. For the Iberian Peninsula, early on, there were hunter-gatherers, which is denoted in purple. And across time, and by the way, all these charts come from papers, and some of the stuff was AI just to explain what it was. But this comes from an actual scientific paper that explains the details as it goes and all the information and so on. Purple denotes hunter-gatherers, and as you can see, as time moves on from left to right, this red is introduced. This is all Iberian Peninsula, Spain, Portugal, etc. This red represents farming populations from Anatolia that came in during the Neolithic times, and what they did was they replaced the previous population by absorbing them, and their genetics basically took over. And then as time went on, and you can see more introduction of hunter-gatherers came in a little bit, but then the yellow introduces people from Central to Northern Europe. This is ancient during the Bronze Age, and they mixed in, actually, to be honest with you, some of the main theories it's evident in the Gen X, but some of the main theories is that they didn't come in pleasantly. They came in by force, took control of the mating ability, and so currently we that derive from Spain are mainly from this yellow on the
which is me, right?
which is what?
Maybe, which is me. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me interrupt you for a second. So I was watching out there in the chat. I think it was Aussie Man, and Aussie Man's from Australia. He said something that caught my attention, and I don't know. I may have to go back up further, but he said my family, according to my sister, goes back to 300 Vikings. Now, does that mean 300 different Vikings? And I'm kind of throwing it up for whatever. But
it's the
that just caught my attention.
Yeah, I think it's the year 300.
Huh?
I think it's the year 300.
The year 300. So
Yeah.
what I'm asking is, since Bill is in Australia, Aussie Man is in Australia, did the Vikings go there first, or
Go where?
well, how does the Vikings come into Australia? Is the question that I'm seeing, or that I have in my mind when I saw that.
Okay, could we, because that will sort of can I
Yes.
yeah, let me wrap this bit up. We're
Okay.
almost done. We're almost done, like 2 or 3 more slides, because because that will go in another direction. I just wanted to sort of bow
Okay.
tie this.
Great.
Okay.
I just thought it would inject well right in here with the different timelines, but go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so well, what I can say before proceeding is that all these different colors on the timeline, the purple representing hunter-gatherers, the red representing the farmer populations that came from Anatolia, and this yellow later introduction that came from Central and Northern Europe, which is from these people called the Yamnaya people, or derived from the Yamnaya people. They're the ones that basically replaced all the males across Western Europe. So whether it be the British Isles, because generally there's from Australia to the Brit, going back in time, many people hail from the British Isles. Not exclusively, but many times yes, or overwhelmingly yes. The same would apply to the British Isles, to Spain or the Iberian Peninsula, to Central Europe, to France, to Denmark area, Netherlands, let's say. It would overwhelmingly apply. So when these people came in during the Bronze Age, they usurped all the previous populations, incorporated their women into their family lines, and the males fell or reduced in reproducing. So for instance, I am the product of this yellow through my male line. However, I have through my other lines this red and this purple, because they didn't just disappear; they blended in. It's just that directly I am from this yellow here that you're seeing. In any event, it does apply to even people of the British Isles, and just like the maps we saw before. So anyways, I'll move forward, but you can see here the timeline.
That's cool. That's cool.
So here's my specific map according to FTDNA, and this is specific in that it comes from FTDNA, but it's actually what you call an average. It's not set in stone. This is a summarized possible trajectory across time as to how my direct paternal line would have come down the pike in order to reach the Iberian Peninsula. Now, in that process, from the right-hand side of the map towards the left, this is going through thousands of years. These men were mating, having children with wives from those locations and other locations in ways that we couldn't know necessarily. So there's all these sorts of combinations, but this is just looking at this particular male markers traveling across time in order to reach the Iberian Peninsula. There's more details involved, but I'm just trying to sort of give an overview. I'll move on. Here's a map of current day people that share my haplogroup or that are relatively near to me. These are all other testers like myself, and the map is basically showing where their locations or their paternal locations, earliest paternal locations, are at or were at. So you can see it covers not only Europe, but far into the east and also towards the west to today North America, the Caribbean, Mexico, Canada. It just so all these men share markers that I have. Now it's not exact to say that they're exactly the same. Basically, what this is saying, even though so like I can't tell you that I have people within my tree for the past 100 or 200 years or whatever that are from up here in Sweden. There might be someone lost in there, but what this is saying is not that. This is saying that all these current men living in all sorts of parts of the world with different histories and such, at one point, all of them and myself share one paternal father back in time. And that's crazy to ponder. Anyways, this is my paternal ancestral home in Spain. This is from an article that came out in 1983-84, which we got here sent to us from Spain. We have family that lives there still. Well, that's where most of them are. We just happened to take a different route. Eventually, my grandfather left. But this is the house my grandfather was born in, and the house where his father was born in, and the house where my grandfather's grandfather set up his family with my great great grandmother, and this is where they always were. Today, the house is no longer standing. It just crumbled to the ground. So this is in northern Spain, and this is how the houses in those areas appeared back in the day. And this is my tree from me on the bottom going all the way up, and you see the long line. Those are the 7 siblings that grew up in that house, with my great grandfather being the one there above my grandfather. My granddad left Spain for Cuba in 1930 and married my grandmother, and she was paternally Italian, maternally Cuban. And they had my father. My father left in the 60s, met my mother here, and I was born here. And that is the thing. That's it. Finito.
It's kind of funny. We were watching a movie, or not a movie, a YouTube video this morning about ancestry stuff, and these twins both did the 5 big ancestry DNA tests. Right? They sent them in. The results were similar, but instead of, you would think that they should be pretty close to exactly the same, they weren't. Yeah. So then she went to ancestral lineage type doctor to go through both of the girls did to go through these things, and he came back and said that these are like what you were going through. These DNA samples that they have, like you said, we've only got like a few dozen thousands of them so far, but they said they're just kind of guessing what they can kind of tell the primary DNA line that you come off of. The rest of it's just a guess. And if you go through, like I've got ancestry DNA, they scrolled and showed you a picture of your DNA areas that you're from and stuff. And they said if you go all the way down to the bottom, there's a thing down there that says percentage of accuracy, and it's usually at 50%. So if you try to click on it and make it like 90, most of everything goes away except the major DNA strands. So they're just the stuff is decent now, but until they get more samples and everything, it's just they're kind of averaging and they're kind of guessing at where you're actually from.
Okay,
So I
so
thought that was kind of interesting.
so I'll mention this about that. So this presentation that I just went through is exclusive to the Y-DNA. So there's no, so in terms of what you're talking about, so it's two different things. So I separated early in the beginning because there's the Y-DNA, there's the mtDNA for the maternal lines that goes from mother to from daughter to mother, going back in time in a direct way, similar to this paternal thing. But then there's this third way of analyzing DNA, which is what you're talking about, which is autosomal. And what happens there is that you have endless amounts of, so you know that you're the son of two parents by default. It must be so, in order for the egg to fertilize to produce a child. But that implies that those two parents had two parents of their own, which would be your grandparents. And if you go far enough, that forks out into such a huge canopy of leaves. Let's say if it's a tree and you're the root, and you go back in time to figure the branches and the leaves and stuff. It branches like that, where you no longer are. So, like, let's say Russ left here earlier, but before that, he said, "Well, I'm Irish," as an example. Um, uh, so if you say so Irish is a location. It overlaps with people that came in a very long time ago. And so indeed you could say, well, I'm Irish. But what happens is that if you look at the tree going back in time, you have input from unexpected places. But all these places, you would think that somebody from, let's say, somewhere in France, would be totally different than somebody in Ireland, or someone in the Ukraine would be freaking way different than someone in like Spain. But that's not the case. The truth of the matter is that all these people, regardless of where they're from, pretty much look the same across the board, genetically speaking. So long story short, these tests cannot 100%, like you were suggesting, say, dude, you are 100% Irish or this or that. Can't do that with the accuracy that people would want, because the genetics is so mixed up in all human beings.
Yep.
So there's no such thing as Spain DNA, Irish, English DNA, Swedish. No, there's a gradient of those things. So yes, in fact, if you look at what you're saying, they put me at 79% Spain, me right now. But a year ago, they had me at 50 something percent. They had me at French. So they play with those, but that's not the important part of. That's just giving you
Big picture.
yeah, like
Yeah.
a window.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't take it as I'm a Floridian. You're from Illinois.
Ossiman says we're all mongrels.
I mean, look, if I am a Floridian, but Floridian and DNA has nothing to do with each other necessarily.
But are you a friendly Floridian?
It depends on my mood.
That's the question.
But does that make sense though?
Yeah, absolute sense. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they kind of alluded to that in the YouTube video, but yeah, I mean, I've got a big block of we came from England, and I've got African in mine also. So I don't know if there was a slave owner thing going on, and in the United States once everybody got over here. But hey, it just it's just like a big average, like you said, and
it's contentious in some circles, depending on where, because ancestry and ethnicity and all these things are, we tend to seat ourselves according to our family traditions and the things that we know and the culture
Mhm.
around us. And so when a curveball is thrown, it can become contentious. And I've seen it happen in actual groups that I'm in because people argue the points and stuff. But
That's everywhere, even in the woodworking community and in the yeah.
but broadly, the point is that you know it's a gradient of
And
stuff.
it's very personal, right? I mean, it's like
It can be
yeah,
if if you tell a Irish person that they have English DNA, like
exactly.
they're like, well, wait a sec, hold on, or any other combination. If they start getting results that show stuff that's kind of like not their particular, it doesn't sit right, and so that becomes a problem. So it does have its cultural political issues too. That's why I was a little bit hesitant, and I picked the YDNA because it's more of a broad.
You didn't want no user riots, right? Is that what you're saying? Or
Yeah.
I got into an argument with a lady in a group. I'll even be public about this. So look, I have no problem personally with um so the Iberian Peninsula, Spain. There are people that are totally into, like, we have a lot of Jewish, let's say, and they're into like the Jewish thing. So their cool in enjoyment is trying to discover as much Jewish as possible. Um, Spain had a lot of Jews that came down to us in unexpected ways that form our existence, right? But we're not Jewish. We might be on a person to person. It depends on the family structure, because Jewish is not like a component of like a racial or it's not. It's not what these. But there's people that I've recently argued with. They want to turn everything into how they want to see the world, when the fact is that no, we're a population of people that come from many different things. So but she was adamant and adamant and adamant and adamant about particular ancestors of mine. I said, look, no, if there's documentation, then okay, stamp it, it's done. But you can't force a history, a particular family history, because of your preference. You have to be true to what the truth is filtering down to you, as best as you can. But she got very rowdy with the thing, and so we had some choice words within reason, and it's stuff like that. It becomes political, cultural, religious, this and that, and so that's why I was hesitant. But whatever. I tried to make a broad little, sort of a canvas of the Y DNA.
well, I was just sitting here thinking. I posted it out there. My ancestors that are dead. I think it was Leonard that was talking about. He went and visited some ancestors, and he's been over in the States, or his lineage longer than mine. I only have some. I have only one generation. My well, I guess two. My dad and my grandmother, but that's pretty much it. Aunts on that level and such. Everybody else is in Cuba. Well, I don't know from there where I come from, where I came from, and like I was saying, my last name seems to be Italian, Forte. I guess I don't know. You may tell me no, that's Cuban. Well, where did it come from, or whatever. But
More than likely, without knowing the details, but more than likely, based on um, what I see, and it's not full. That's the thing. It depends. But broadly speaking, what I see with the people that pop up as my cousin matches, um, there's a heavy influence from the Canary Islands.
and where
But
are the Canary Islands? And I mean that because yeah, I can go look on the map, I can Google it, but I actually
Off
don't know where.
Spain.
Spain?
it's it's
They're
it's
off Spain. Yeah.
Okay.
it's controlled by Spain. It's part of Spain. It's off of North Africa. It's an
Mhm.
archipelago off the coast of Africa, in the Atlantic. And what happened there was that um, early on in the 1400s, early part of it, they people from Europe started to come in there, and they came from Flanders. They came from France proper, or the Normans, let's say, and they came from Spain a little bit later. Italians came, and they started populating the area, fighting the inhabitants of the area. And I can tell you for sure that at least one branch on my maternal, and maybe other branches, but on my maternal, I can tell you 100% that my great grandparents were born in the Canary Islands, and they were there for a very long time. And what it is a mixture of all these European people, but also of native indigenous people to the islands. Um, Mixture there. Anyways, that to the side,
Yeah.
which can be looked up, and that's an interesting thing, um, which can be looked up. Um, Forte might be Spain proper,
Uh-huh.
you know, Catalonia, something like that.
Okay. All right,
When
I'll
I
start
was
looking.
going through the ancestry thing, and talking to my cousins and my uncles and stuff that are still alive and around Chattanooga. A lot of my cousins took the ancestry test because it was like one of these things where one of us heard the other one did it, so then we did it and we posted, and they're like, "Oh, I think I'm going to do that too." Well, anyway, you get a decent tree built up, but back families that were like in the mountains and stuff, in valleys and stuff in between the mountains, you don't see a family tree that branches very far. You'll see like, it goes straight up because this brother married this sister, and the brother in that family married the sister in the same family because they live next door to each other, and
Yeah.
it's really weird how that grew up like that. That's just
Totally
your
common.
family. Yeah, it's
It was,
very common back then. Yeah.
and it
I
was not
just-
only common. It was not only common in the United States. It was common in Europe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we come from a lot of cousins.
Yeah, we sure do.
Yeah, it's actually like that because there were small villages.
Yeah.
Let alone later in the United States, Appalachia, just across the United States, you had a smaller population, and you're entrusted in your community, and you might have someone that's a second cousin or closer or a little bit distant, but you might have situations like that. And in Europe as well, you had villages and people married, within, totally normal. Not
So,
today, but totally normal back then.
can I show it, Leonard? I think so. It's not coming up here, but that's okay. Leonard Davis, let me grab his photo, and I'm assuming I can share it since he sent it to me, and he did mention it, but I gotta find it. It's pretty cool. I gotta find it first.
Leonard
Maybe
said yes.
Huh?
Leonard said yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. What's weird is, oh, there it is.
Be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I say there it is. Where did? It's not showing it over here. Hold on. Let me see all. Let's see. Leave page. Yeah, leave page. Get me out of there. What? Why? I guess tonight is technical difficulty night. Let me go look at his message, and yeah, it's not giving me your messenger. Why isn't it doing that? I don't believe this. Okay. I'm just going to have to show it this way. I'm sorry. It's going to be tiny, tiny too, but this is he said something about 200 years ago. This is the grave of Franklin Davis. 1913, I believe, is when he died. And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, Leonard's son, or his grandson, or his great grandson. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, this really stinks. Hold on, let me do this. Let me take the green screen off, and that I can certainly do it this way.
It's a picture of Leonard's son, Franklin,
Yeah.
next to his grandfather's headstone.
Yes, there it is. There it is. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. It's probably got some glare on it. Let me see. Try to get the glare off. And it's a sunny day out, so that doesn't help either. But he's sitting there. He's sitting there laying down next to it. Let's see if I can get in on the name.
It's amazing.
It is. It is. And that, that's a long time, isn't it?
What era? What year?
I believe that said 1833 to 1913. Franklin E. Davis. I'm trying to read what it says at the bottom, but I can't. Fourth something volts.
1913.
Yeah, 1913. So that's a little over 100 years old, but it would have been 200, almost 200 years for him, for the original, for Mr. Davis.
For the
Franklin, yeah.
Great grandparent.
Yes. Oh, why wasn't Facebook? See, that just we don't need no technical issues. There's the messenger. I can't send him a message. It's not opening. I'm going to kill the messenger there. That one's gone here. Let's reset the browser. No, seriously. Seriously, I can't send Leonard a message. But I can see 10 fun facts. You can't see your ears without a mirror. You can't count your hair. You can't breathe through your nose with your tongue out. Try those, guys. You just tried, didn't you? When you did number 3, you realized that's possible only if you look like a dog. You're smiling right now because you were fooled, weren't you? And you skipped number 5. And then now you're checking to see if you skipped number 5. Share this with your friends. Blah, blah. Anyway, that's on your page. I can't get the messenger to open at all. That is crazy. No. I got it now. Yes. Let's see. Let me change the scene over here from close. And I probably killed that. Let's go to the scenes. Audio. Scenes. Scene. Oh, man. Is that right? No.
You just teleported.
I did, didn't I? Gosh. Sources, primary display, razor. No. Yeah, there we go. This is it here. Look at that. But there it is, folks. Now you see it, right?
Mm.
No? Yes?
Yes, I mean, but it's small.
It's small. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's, and now you're seeing everything else that I'm showing, which, because I'm trying to drive everybody bananas, right? There it is. Let's see. Can we do this? No, we can't.
Was there any questions in reference to the any other questions in reference to the slideshow presentation?
I'm looking in the chat right now. I don't see any.
Oh, wow. I see that star now behind his head. Post 45, I believe is what it says. And the small lettering up underneath the year of 1833 to 1913 says something like 2B4th and then a VIVOLS or something like that. Still can't make it out quite. I wonder if is that not American, maybe? What? That right there. I don't know. And it's probably still too big, right? I mean, too small.
Well, you can ask him for the details, like location and such.
Well, yeah. Al, you can see your own ear without a mirror if you cut it off. Man, Bill's got it right. That's how they do things in Australia. Yep.
Blair said that is the unit he fought in the Civil War.
Okay. There we go. That's cool. The 45, right? Right, Leonard? Let's see. No, I don't see it now. Yeah, oops. I just hit one of the lower icons, and of course there comes 3D Slicer. Let's go over, and I'm going to move something else, and gosh. Right there is where it should be, and it's not. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's the post 45 that he was in. Very cool. All right, well, it actually is 8 o'clock Central, real time. If anybody else has anything to say or add, or if anybody has any questions out there in YouTube land, please bring them up. Let's see, that's the unit he fought in. Leonard. Oh, that's Jim. I put it out there, but Eloy also, I don't know if you mentioned Eloy, hosts a podcast on YouTube and actually at podcasts near you. The link is out there again. Trampled Underfoot. He's got over 300 plus podcasts, and if you enjoy his cerebral thought and his talking with his hands, you need to log in and watch the show. It's Tuesday nights, Eloy?
Tuesday nights, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific Coast.
All right.
And I co-host it with Mark Lindsay, CNC.
Yes. Of course, sponsored by
Harneal Media.
Harneal Media, yeah.
Welcome back, Russ.
Very good. Hey, Russ,
Hey.
welcome back.
My living room's still intact.
All right. So you didn't mess it up too badly then?
No, I had to keep her in control. Yeah, Miss Collins in control. Well, I appreciate you being on, Eloy.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I look forward to going back and watching the show. And also thank you, Al, for taking over.
It was a challenge.
Yeah, I did hear you had technical difficulties, but I think anybody that has done live streaming will find out real quick like that. If it's going to happen, it will happen during live.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, but thank y'all all for out there watching. And like I said, I look forward to going through and watching the entire show from the beginning to the end and listening to what Eloy has to say, because I'm very interested in ancestry. My son has got sparked the thing he wanted to go back and find out, where our local family, as far as my father, my father's father, my grandfather, and my great grandfather came from, which we know we came from Ireland. But that's just a tip of the iceberg, so to speak. So
Oh, there's a kiddo.
So yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg as far as we know where our, I want to say immediate family. In other words, back 4 or 5 generations, we know where they came from, but what happened before that? Because there's no telling, and that's what we want to find out. So, but I look forward to listening to Eloy talking the slideshow also.
Before
Yes.
I go, before
Yes.
we go, can I emphasize something? We have a
Sure.
request out there that Niantic River Woodcrafting with Chris Nealon says. He says Al deserves a raise. Yes, yes, sir.
You can get a raise.
I didn't agree with that.
Yeah. I'll give him 10% of nothing.
Woohoo!
Or just double what he gets now.
Right?
Okay. I'll
Yep.
double what he gets now.
There you go.
Oh,
But yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
thank you, Chris.
So,
Thank
but
you, Eloy. See, they didn't cut down the power lines. Disconnect all of us.
no, I think it's very, the subject is very interesting because, we don't, like I said, my immediate family, I know that they came from Ireland, but, like Al, you said you came from Cuba, but you don't know how they got to Cuba. Your family got to Cuba.
No, exactly. I don't know.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how my family, yeah, I don't know how my family got to Ireland. I don't know where they
honestly
came
don't
from.
remember if my mom or dad ever really knew where they came from.
Yeah.
And this is how I understand it. I'll just be real quick. There was natives in Cuba. The Spaniards came, or I don't know, it could have been the Icelandic something. I don't know. Wiped out the population of natives, and then brought Africans over in the same way that Africans came over to the Americas. Now, that's how I understand it.
Yeah,
Right.
Originally, the island was inhabited by native people, just like Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, the Caribbean, and the rest of the Americas. But once the age of discovery took hold, with commencing with Christopher Columbus, and explorers started to make their way, one of the major things was that we brought over, and I say it like that because I'm not from that era, but Europeans brought over people from Spain, diseases common to Europeans,
Right.
and it really dropped the numbers of the natives. There were natives and Europeans that mixed together, joined together, and had children, but in Cuba, the devastation was so extreme that you don't find, you can find some, but you don't find native contributions at the levels that you would in other parts of the Americas, like Central South America and so on, where there was more population. This was an isolated island, even though it's a big island. So most of the contributions, and by the way, then Africans were brought in, but as well, and they mixed with the population. So basically, the mixture on average, or in general, let's say, would be contributions from Europe, Africa, and then minor indigenous of what would have been left over, or incoming people as the years went by. So essentially, there's that mix going on. Broadly speaking, it's like a little sampling of what the United States is,
Right.
where you might have all sorts of different origins from people.
Question. So, how were the indigenous people there? How did they get there? How did they? Now, I can understand the United States. The Bering Strait, right? All that. But how did they get to those little islands that were 90 miles off the coast, and Puerto Rico is what, another 150 away? I don't know exactly, but
they figured, according to actually DNA, Y and maternal, that they crossed the Bering Strait, went down across America, but there were
they had land to walk on down the Bering Strait.
Yeah, but people,
Florida and Cuba.
Yeah, but people even back, so people built boats. I mean,
Oh,
they didn't
okay,
build
okay.
they didn't build cruisers,
Okay.
but that existed. And across
That
time,
makes sense.
people spread throughout the world. It's just that's you can see it in the DNA patterns.
Okay.
So
That explains it. Yeah, duh. They had boats. Never mind. That was my mistake. All right, guys. I want to hand it back to Russ. He got stuff to do, and I know you do too, and I do too. And thank you so much, Eloy, for being here. Really appreciate it, man.
yeah, all this information is available online. I'm just repeating what I've been studying and investigating on my own for my pleasure, but it's all like discoverable.
Have a great week, everyone.
Yeah. So I appreciate, like I said again, Al and Eloy for being on, and thank you, Donna and Dixon and Jim. We missed Paul and Chris and Donald tonight. So, but I appreciate y'all being on. Listen, if you're too darn busy to get out in your shop, you're just too darn busy, or you're lazy, and get off that couch and get out there and make some sawdust. Just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching, and God bless.
Good night, everyone. And Chris can't be there to say it, so somebody else say it.
Yeah, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
There you go. Live long and prosper,
See ya.
guys. Bye.